Aeneid Book 1, lines 12 to 32. So, after the invocation to the muse to explain why there was so much anger of Juno and why it was so tough, Virgil goes into explication. There was an ancient city. Now we have an expectation of a relative adjective clause here, which, but we don't have it. It's kind of an appositional here. The Tyrian colonists, tenuere. You look at that, you think, oh, that's an infinitive, a present infinitive, but it's not. It's not a present stem. It's got that V suffix. It's got that perfect. This is the syncopated form of tenuerent. Tenuerent, errant endings do not occur in poetry. They use the shorter version for meter. There was an ancient city, or you could say Carthage was an ancient city. The Tyrian colonists possessed it against Italy and the Ostia, mouths Tiberian, mouths of the Tiber. It's often taking a noun and turning it into an adjective. By far. Now, what does contra mean? It means against, or it also means opposite. So we talk about Carthage here, the enemy of Rome from the Punic Wars onward, was an ancient city. The Tyrian colonists held it over against Italy and the Tiberian mouths, in other words, the mouth of Tiber, far ways. What can we also say about Carthage? It's D-ways. Rich, genitive possessive, of resources, and most fierce, ablative of respect here, in the study of war. So the ablative of respect, it becomes an adjective. Which, what's which? The Carthago, which, one, understood city. Juno is said. Now, ferter means is brought, but it also has the concept of is said. So therefore, we're dealing with indirect statement clause. That's why the quam unum, which one, is the subject phrase of the indirect statement. Which one, Juno is said to have cherished, perfect, infinitive, adverb more than, ablative of comparison, all other lands, or all lands. With her beloved Samos, ablative absolute, though it's ending in O, it's a feminine noun, it's an island, having been held in less esteem or put behind her. Heek, long mark. Here, adverb. Here, were, understood, you don't have the verb possession, you don't have the verb is oftentimes, were the arms of her. Here was her chariot. What does that mean? Well, Carthage is where she's got her garage. It's her place where she likes to hang out. The goddess now then aims, or already you could say aims, and fondly hopes. This understood city, or this place, it's neuter because it's attracted with regnum. This is the regnum, the power, the seat of royal power to the nations, dative of respect or reference. If, qua, now when you have C's and nays, the allies go away, so it's really aliqua. Aliqua, what? Fata, it's being used as an adjective, and it's long. If by any fate, it's not an ablative, it's a subject phrase, neuter plural. If the any fates shall allow, notice it's a subjunctive because it indicates potential or deliberative. But indeed, or but for, she audierat, had heard, indirect statement clause, that a race was being led by Trojan blood, or from Trojan blood, which relative clause of result or purpose, which was to overthrow her Tyrian, that's another word for Carthage, arches, accusative neuter, plural, fortresses, towers, citadels, once upon a time or at one time. Hink, that from here, let's look for your infinitive for the indirect statement clause, venturum, would come. Who would come? A ruling people, a people king, you could say, or a ruling people, would come late, a widely ruling place, right? And proud, ablative of respect in specification in war. And it would come dative of purpose for the destruction, genitive possessive of Libya. Thusly, the fates were planning. That's what she had from Audierat, from what she had heard. Therefore, this is why it's accusative subject phrase. The Saturnian. Now, the Saturnian refers to the daughter of Saturn, which is, of course, Juno. Fearing this, and so she's afraid her house is going to get damaged, and the mindful, this is an adjective, of the old war, which would be the Trojan War, which she first had waged to Troy on account of her beloved Argives, or Greeks, another word for Greeks, not yet indeed, or not yet even, had the causa, well, let's look for your verb, exciterant, had faded. What had faded? The causes of her anger and, another subject phrase, her savage sadnesses or resentment. So not yet even, this is right after the Trojan War, had her causes of anger and her savage resentment, they had not faded, ablative perhaps of separation from her mind, or ablative of place in her mind. And it remains deep. What remains deeply? The eudicum, and let's talk about deep in a second. What remains? The eudicum, the judgment of Paris. Oh, and the injury, dative of reference to her spurned body, or spurned beauty or form. Well, what remains deep? The judgment of Paris when she lost the beauty contest, and it remains repostum, perfect participle, having been buried where? Ablative of place in her deep mind. So the injury of the judgment of Paris remains deep, buried deep in her deep mind. Oh my goodness, she's got counseling issues. And also remains is the insult that she wasn't the most beautiful. And what also remains buried in her deep mind is the hatred, is the hated race, the invisum genus, which of course would be the Trojans. Look at all these conjunctions, polysyndeton, and the honors taken away of Ganymede. Now, Ganymede, Zeus liked Ganymede. He was a cute little boy, took him up to heaven, took away the cupbearer of the gods, which would be Hebe. So a lot of resentment here. So inflamed. So this is explaining all of her angers. Having been inflamed, now this is feminine, referring to Juno, ablative cause, when it's passive, it's cause, by these, besides, she was keeping the Trojans long from Latium, ablative separation. What can we say about the Trojan? The leftovers of the Greeks, those who hadn't been killed, and of cruel Achilles. She was keeping them tossed on the whole sea, and through many years they were wandering, acti, referring to the Trojans, driven by the fates, across all the sea.